Hello guys, and welcome to my jungle tier list video for the new season. You'll see I've scrapped the regular S, A, B, C, no one cares about that, boring tier list, and we've got my own unique little twist. This is my genuine opinion on the state of jungle. I think every champion is really good just because you're playing it in jungle. So don't worry too much about what you play. But regardless, there are still some champions which are just, better than others, and that's just how it is. So if you want to be one of those people who's just gonna abuse the OP champions and get free wins, by all means, go and do it. So I think I'll just run through the tiers really quickly. Insta FF tier means if I see this champion on the enemy team, I don't want to play the game. I'm just gonna close the game, back out. Next, we've got the OP champs that are so easy to play that if you pick them up for the first time, you can still carry in 1v9. Next, we've got the champs which are OP if you're really good at the champion. So, I mean, this might sound a little bit stupid, but some champions require certain mechanics or just require better understanding of them to actually execute them well. So you can't just go in and first time them and expect to win every game. Then there are a few champions which are really good in low elo just because people really struggle to counter them and they don't know how to. Next, we've got the less OP champs, so still OP because you're playing them in the jungle, but there are definitely champs which are probably better than them. Then we've got the tanks. I mean, I'm not a big fan of tanks. They are still good, but I think it really depends what your goal is. In a, if you're playing 5Q or something with a team that then obviously tanks can be good if you need that for your team. But in solo queue, if you pick a tank, you're relying a lot on your team to actually do something, which in this day and age is a big assumption. And finally, we've got the picks at the bottom that, if you pick them, your team will just run down the game. Because even if you think it's a good pick or you want to give it a try, the players in this game, if they don't like the pick, they just won't try. They'll pick first time champs as well and the game is lost. But anyways, let us get the most important one out of the way. Where are you? Nunu, up you go. If you see an enemy pick AP Nunu, just close the game because it's probably me, right? So but in all seriousness, if you're playing Nunu as a tank, he's a tank, but he is genuinely quite a good pick. I think realistically he goes here because you actually do have to know how to drive him properly, but it's my video, so he's going up here. Now let's see. Amumu, boring. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. He's a really good tank, but at the end of the day, he's a tank. You're going to struggle to, really carry a game. And now Aatrox is an interesting one. He's a good pick, a little bit slower jungle clear, but he is one of those champions where if you get fed and you know what you're doing with him, you're gonna have a good time. Now Vi, one of my favorites, really OP, and you don't really need to know what you're doing, to be honest. I'd be lying if I said it required any skill whatsoever. And what I will do is I will order them, so if they're nearer the front of the tier list, the front of their row, they're better than people towards the end. Now we've got Warwick. Yep, insta FF tier. You see Warwick, there's basically zero counterplay to this. I was playing ADC the other day, the Warwick ults me, I think, oh yeah, cleanse, I'm gonna be fine. Can't cleanse the Warwick ult, who knows why. So essentially the Warwick can just, first of all, he can sniff you out, he can chase you down because he just runs faster towards you, and then he can just jump from off your screen and one shot you. So I think there's really little counterplay to Warwick, and he's an insta FF, just makes your life so miserable if you play him. Okay, Volibear, again, not too much to say. You can play him as more of a carry. He is very OP, but typically he's played as a tank, so he is it's a toss-up, but I think he is still a very good pick and a good tank nonetheless. Wukong, up he goes. Another mega broken champion. I don't even know why he's so broken, but he just seems to do some ridiculous damage. And when I play him, he's rubbish. But whenever I get him on the enemy team, Jesus, he's doing some work. Let's just put it that way. Okay, Gwen is an interesting one. Gwen is quite a situational champion. If they have a lot of tanks, she's definitely going to go into this tier, because you do actually have to know what you're doing with Gwen. I think if you have a really good matchup and like they have lots of tanks, then you less so, but generally speaking you do need to have a reasonable idea of what you're doing with Gwen, especially because she needs to scale quite hard. Hecarim, probably the easiest champion, one of the easiest champions to play. You run around really fast, you gank everyone, you kill everyone. Not really too much to say about that. Gragas, another interesting one. You won't see him played too often, and he does require a little bit of skill. I think a lot of these more AP assassins, you know, they don't have reliable consistent damage. They're all about bursts. So for example with Gragas, if you miss your ult, yeah, like me, then you know you're going to struggle a little bit. But regardless, if you're good at him and you know, I mean, you can hit his abilities, then he's definitely still a very good champion to pick. Graves, another one. Don't really like Graves very much, but again, that's just me personally. Don't really like the champ, but if you get fed on him, he just goes around and late game just presses his auto attack button and you just disappear because he's done 2000 damage or whatever. So he's definitely very good as well. Now we've got Darius. I think Darius, very nice champion too, maybe even put him over here, but he does require some skill to play. You definitely need to know how to kite well with him and not get kited, I guess. And it's especially hard because in jungle you have to take smite, so you can't go ghost and flash, so it limits you slightly. But I think if you can play him well, he's definitely a very, very good champion. Again, Diana, good champion, not the hardest to play, but I think still takes a little bit of getting used to. Ever since her rework with the ult, being able to move and stuff, definitely made her stronger. But I remember even though everyone was really hyped about her for a little bit, she hasn't really stuck in the meta. But it just goes to show that so many junglers are OP, but there are just some ones which are easier to play or more OP that even the really good ones still don't get picked. Jarvan, again, some people play him as a tank, but I'm going to put him as a carry. Again, the easiest champion you can play in the world. You don't even have to do any combos, you just put your flag down, you can try and hit them with your first ability. If you don't hit them, not the end of the world. Press your ult and you just hit them a little bit, they'll probably die. Mundo, again, tank, not much to say. He's not a bad champion, but generally the reason I don't like tanks so much is because you can get so many resources in jungle that it's kind of a waste to put them on a tank, because tanks at a certain point, they're so tanky anyways, it doesn't really help. They just need more damage, right? Like, it's not going to help if they can survive another 3 seconds if they're not actually doing anything to the enemies. Zed is a really cool pick, one that I've liked a little bit more recently, and he is very strong, but you do definitely have to know what you're doing with him. There's a massive difference between a first time Zed and a master. So yeah, he's definitely one you have to put in a little bit of time to get good at, but once you do, he does really take over the game, because it's so easy to just get these picks and turn the game into a 4v5, and his ult is on such a low cooldown, which is very nice as well. Kha'Zix, another good one, probably put him over here. I think you don't require too much skill to play Kha'Zix, but again, you do need to know how to play the team fights properly, because obviously there's a lot of damage on one person if they're isolated, but you do need to know how to, yeah, you know, play the team fights well with your ultimate and stuff. Kayn, I got an interesting take on Kayn. Honestly, I think Kayn is up here. I don't know many champions that can win against an a red Kayn. The only counter to Red Kayn, unironically, is AP Nunu. I'm not even joking. But genuinely, Red Kayn, he just does so much damage and so much healing that any of the AD bruiser champs like Vi, Jarvan, Hecarim, Darius, Aatrox, I think he just smashes all of them, to be honest. And it's not like you have to be very good to play him, right? You can just use all your abilities. The whole point of Kayn is you just keep fighting them and you heal so much and do so much damage, and if you're dying you just ult and then you come out of someone full HP again. So this is for Red Kayn. For Blue Kayn, it's much more situational. He's probably over here because it's not that hard. You just run around and through the walls and hit people with your second ability. But Red Kayn is definitely up there. Xin Zhao, another one, incredibly easy to play. Not too much to say. Lee Sin, this one very, very strong as well, but you do need to know what you're doing. It's not so hard. Again, the biggest difference between a good first timer and a good player is probably like Zed or something. But with Lee Sin, if you don't do the combos well, it's really hard to play team fights, and also you can miss out on a lot of damage and getting kills if you don't do the combos correctly. Lilia, really like Lilia, another very strong champion. Gonna put her over here. You do need to know what you're doing. It's quite hard to master her move speed and to figure out, you know, just how to hit people on the edge of your range without getting hit yourself. But if you can master it, it's a very, very good champion, especially into tankier teams. Master Yi, that's going straight over there. So this tier doesn't mean they're not good in high elo, but it means they're really, really, really good in low elo. And to be honest, I think they fall off the higher elo you get, just because people understand better how to counter them. And now we've got Morgana. I think this is the first one that I'll put in the less OP tier. I think, and it's probably because I'm a bit biased, I just really don't like Morgana as a whole. I feel like she doesn't have really good carry potential, in the sense that she's not really good at ganking. She's not really good at making like some crazy pick unless you're like hiding in a bush to hit your first ability. So I think while she is good and you can get very strong with her, I feel like just as a champion on whole, she's quite hard to carry with. Nautilus, if you go for an AP Nautilus, I think that's definitely going up here. Probably a bit stronger than some of these, to be honest. Actually, you know, he can go over here. It's pretty straightforward. His clear is very fast, and you just need to press Alt, aim your first ability, and they'll probably die. So yeah, I think he deserves to go up here. An AP Nautilus. You can obviously play him a little bit more tanky, but I think AP Nautilus up here, well deserved. Olaf, super easy champion to play. Press your Alt, press your Ghost, press whatever, run at them and hope for the best. Definitely OP. Pantheon, mega OP, maybe even like over here or something. You really just get 2 items and press your second ability on someone and they're insta dead every time, no counterplay. I was playing against a 15-0 Pantheon earlier, quite literally impossible to do anything against. Rammus, quite a nice tank to be honest, but again, tank, kind of have to hope that your team can do some damage. Rengar, I do like this champion, can go over here. I think he is very strong, he can one-shot very easily, but again, his kit isn't the most intuitive. You have to be careful. It is easy to one-shot people, but then again, how do you play the team fights well? Can you jump from the bushes effectively and stuff like that? Okay, Riven, that's got to go over here. I think Riven is probably one of the best champions. The only reason she's not in Insta FF tier is because she does require a little bit of skill. You do need to know what you're doing, but if you get into a team fight with a little bit of gold, you can just ult everyone, keep getting kills, getting resets, and it is a very, very strong champion. Tryndamere is a tricky one. I think he'll go here, to be honest. He's the sort of champion, he is very strong in low elo, but he doesn't, you don't really see him as much in high elo, but again, he just gets so much gold that he can kind of just run at you. You don't really have to think too much, but I wouldn't say he's super OP, but I think he deserves to go here. Fiddlesticks, what even is this champion? Again, I wouldn't say he's OP in low elo, but he's definitely better in low elo, because as soon as you have a reasonable understanding of like where the Fiddlesticks might be and have any sort of ward anywhere, he is not going to be able to do much with his ult. Fizz, again, you never see him in jungle. I'll have to put him in less OP just because he's just nowhere near as good as any of these other champions over here, but he's still playable. Shen, used to love Shen, but at the end of the day, he is a tank. He hasn't quite got that carry potential, even though he is probably one of the better carries, I will not lie, one of the better carries in the tank tier, but just in terms of getting the money and making the most of the jungle role, not it. Shyvana can go straight up here, switch this up a little bit, straight up there. She is mega OP. You just farm ever since they buffed her. You get your ult after killing like 2 camps again. Just go and run at them with your mega dragon form. Not really too much to say about that. Evelyn, again, OP if you know what you're doing with her. Tends to fall more towards this one because in high elo people will put pink wards everywhere and her passive sort of isn't as useful anymore, but I think if you know what you're doing, she is still definitely a very good pick. Echo is a very strong pick as well. I think honestly not the hardest to play. I wouldn't say it's super easy, but I think definitely one of the easier AP champions to play because you just farm up, you do your whole combo on someone and then you ult to safety, and that's you can just rinse and repeat that. Now Fiora, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea why Fiora's in this tier list. She's basically never played, but she is a very OP champion. She can go over here. If there's a good Fiora player playing Fiora jungle, you should be very worried, but again they do have to be very good at the champion, so I wouldn't worry too much about seeing any Fioras in your game, but if you do, yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. Similarly with Irelia, I think Irelia is slightly less good, can go over here maybe, but if you're a very good Irelia player, you can easily get away with playing her in the jungle. A lot of these champs, while I think Fiora and Irelia are probably better in lane, jungle is just free access to resources, so can't really go wrong with playing these champs. Again, no idea why Jace is in here, but he's good if you can farm. A lot of these champions, just if you're farming, if you manage to get a decent gank off, you can very easily carry a game. And the reason they're not in this tier here, the less OP tier, is because as champions I think they're just better than these ones currently. Now here are 2 interesting ones. Kayle is very OP in low elo if they just let you AFK farm and don't do anything about it. However, she is still good in higher elo, but she'll stay in here for now because she is definitely stronger in low elo where they just let you AFK farm. Now we've got Nyla. Nyla is an interesting one as well because she's also very strong in low elo because she needs lots of resources, and if she can just AFK farm for 3-4 items, she will completely 1v9 the game. However, you do actually need to somewhat know what you're doing, but if you do, then you can easily translate this into higher elo just because it is quite hard to punish her because she's not that weak. So while she is super strong in low elo, I think potentially she could even be up here. But I think I would still prefer like a champion like Riven and Lee Sin or Zed over her. Now we've got Yone. I do really like Yone. One of those champions, once you get to your boots, can suddenly really perform well. So I think Yone can go over here. Again, you do sort of need to know what you're doing. I think he's probably slightly better than Rengar right now. Okay, now we've got the more interesting ones. Yasuo, please don't pick this in the jungle. It's just the fact that Yasuo is such a meme of a character. No one will take you seriously if you play him in the jungle. Not even that he's particularly bad. He's quite similar to Yone, but I mean Yone just has such better ganking potential and setup, whereas Yasuo prefers much more playing in a lane with the minions so he can dash around and stuff. So please, I beg you, don't play Yasuo unless you want to get permabanned. Same thing with this guy over here. This guy, just if you pick him period, you'll get permabanned. So please just ignore this guy, pretend he doesn't exist at all. Now we've got Talon, who's an interesting one. I think Talon is a bit underrated right now. I think he is still very strong, but again, he is one of those champs you do actually have to be quite good at him. I think he can carry games, but you do need to know how to one-shot people properly and as well get away and escape using your really obnoxious dash over walls. Twitch, this champion was good, and only good, not even OP, was good like 2 years ago. Okay, you shouldn't play this champion ever, to be honest. Slightly less troll than Teemo, but you should still never play this champion right here. Rats, yeah, just you don't want to be a rat. Okay, Ambessa, I think Ambessa has got to go over here as well. Very, very OP. You don't really need to know what you're doing. Press all the buttons and you should be fine. Just have to aim the ult. And that's about it. And finally, we have Kindred. You know, again, Kindred is one of those champs. Just if you farm a lot, she does a pretty decent job. So I think she can go here again. Like, you should be good. You do have to be good at her. But yeah, if you're playing jungle, you get so many resources, it is quite easy to get away with. So let's review. AP Nunu, the best champion of all time, probably will always stay that way. But then you have these three rats over here. If you want to win games, you can pretty much blind pick these into any champion and you'll be pretty fine. Kayn is slightly more situational. You have to hope that they have some more melee champions so you can get your red form, but these ones are really, really OP and you will win most games if you just pick them because they're so strong. I actually played a Warwick game earlier. I wasn't even playing very well, but I still got an MVP just by, you know, you run around, you press your ult, you aim it remotely close to someone and they just die. So yeah, but then you've got all of these are the ones I would recommend if you're trying to get into jungle for the first time. Vi is a very nice one, really great ganks and stuff. Ambessa as well, although you do have to aim the ultimate. Pantheon, just because he's so easy to play, just with his W into Q. Then you've got the Hecarim, really fast. Jarvan, easy ganks. Echo, pretty easy as well, a little bit harder, but still easy. Jin Zhao, again, pretty straightforward, his combo. Olaf, run at them. Shyvana, run at them. And Nautilus, just press all your buttons and you'll probably be fine as well. This tier is the one I would recommend if you really like jungle and there's one champion and you care a lot more about your mechanics. I would suggest picking up one of these champions over here. My personal suggestions would be like Zed, Riven, Lee Sin. I think those champions are probably the most fun and also probably the strongest if you really master them. Then if you feel like you're getting the worst teammates possible in low elo, I would recommend giving some of these guys a try. I think you should be able to just AFK farm and then just run at them later on and they won't really know what to do. These ones, I would try and stay clear of them personally, just because like if you see how many champions are up here, it just doesn't really make sense to be picking one of these. The tanks, you can always pick them obviously, but again, I think if you're trying to really carry and make the most of the game, then I would recommend picking up one of these champs who can make the most of the jungle resources. However, if you guys do want to see some like tank gameplay and show you how you should be playing tanks even in solo queue when the teammates are unreliable, let me know and I can show you that. And again, please just don't touch any of these champions. I don't want you guys to get permabanned. And that is about it. Let me know what else you guys want to see in the comments. I plan to have a complete jungle guide coming out pretty soon, which should be pretty helpful for you guys, hopefully. But yeah, that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.